Portugal is sending Yolanda with Grito to Eurovision 2024. Portugal hosted not all that long ago, so they'll be hoping that Yolanda will be Yolandin in the grand final. Let's review Eurovision.
Very good pun, actually, on reflection. That really,
It lands like a plane. It's very smooth.
yeah,
Uh,
like she lands not in the final.
yeah, of course. She could miss the runway. Let's hope she's not a Boeing. Anyway, so Festival de Canção has been running for a very, very long time, and it's only produced one Eurovision winner in the form of Salvador Sobral. Yolanda is carrying the Portuguese flag in Malmo this year. She'll be hoping to become just the second Portuguese winner ever. Is it going to happen? We'll find out in a second. Let's have a little listen to Grito, first of all. So that was a very white-looking performance there back in Festival de Canção. What do we think of it, Emily?
It's a bit of a snooze fest, in it. Really, it's. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because I didn't initially like Saudade, and that really grew on me. But this, it's just a bit boring. It's going to be your kind of your PT break when it in the semi-final. Yeah, exactly. I'm just tapping out for this one. It's just a bit boring. It's just very kind of slow. I actually liked the staging in the national final, kind of all in white, dancers behind and kind of semi-circles. I thought that was quite nice, but that's kind of the only nice thing I've really got to add about it. It's just not my kind of thing, and I just can't really get behind it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the type of song that Portugal does quite often. And it's the type of song that the Portugal does very competently. I don't always like it because I, to this day, still think Saudade Saudade had no business being anywhere near the top 10. I still think it's one of the most overrated songs of this decade, frankly. But then again, O Jardim, the 2018 one when they hosted it, is, for my money, by far the best song that ever finished last. I think it's beautiful. And I was listening when I was listening through all of the songs that we're recording today, I had this on, and I admire the first 20 seconds or so, it being a cappella. I always think it's a difficult thing to do, and she carries it.
It's a really kind of capturing thing as well. Like that's something that makes you sit up and listen, and then the problem is it goes yeah.
Exactly. It brings you in, but then it sort of loses me because it is just a little bit boring. And even within the Portuguese tradition of sending ballady slow songs, I just don't think this is that interesting. It doesn't capture me to the extent that when I was listening back to it, I got about 2 minutes in and then remembered how much I liked O Jardim and started listening to that. That's
making you. I could completely imagine myself doing that, of kind of listening to it and being like, oh, what are the other Portuguese entries that I like? Oh, Saudade, Saudade. I'll go listen to that instead. It's just a bit meek and just.
It doesn't, and for a song called Shout, it doesn't shout out anything. It kind of just does its thing, and it's nice. And when it's finished, I'm like, that was nice, but it doesn't stay with me in any way. O Jardim created. I mean, they're not very, very similar songs. You know what I mean? Because that was, they are a little bit different. But O Jardim sort of created an atmosphere. It created a bit of a world. It was mystical. It was beautiful. Such a nice entry. And there's no sense of building an atmosphere here. There's no sense of inviting us in to be part of anything, to actually feel anything. It's just, she does her thing and then goes. And it's not that I don't know. It's not up there for me among the great Portuguese entries ever. But it will be performing in the first semi-final. Generally, I mean, I think you agree, is the easier of the two. She's got a very good running order slot. She's going 14th out of 15. There's only Luxembourg going after. It still feels weird saying Luxembourg, but anyway, only Luxembourg is going after them. So it's a good running order space. Do you think that will be enough to carry her through to the final? And what's your score out of 10, Emily?
I don't know. I think because there aren't actually loads and loads of ballads this year, it probably has a better chance of getting through than it would have done before. And like you said, because it has that kind of strong running order placing, I wouldn't want to bet money on it not getting through, even though, if I had it kind of my way, it wouldn't. But I think if it does get through, it's a strong contender for coming last in the final. But yeah, it's just kind of really, I think if they kind of keep that staging, it's pretty striking, and there's no reason why it couldn't. But in terms of my personal ranking, it's a 4 from me.
Oh, that's quite harsh. Well, I
It's
say
just
that.
it's
I'm
not
going
my
to give it
vibe.
5. So I'm having been like that's harsh. I'm only going to give it one better. It's 5. I agree with you that it's just not the most striking entry, but I actually think it will quite easily make it through. Because of the running order, it's the last ballad, frankly. And I think there are 5 songs that I think people will forget before they forget this one. If though that said, and it points to the fact that it's not the most strong entry. If this was in Serbia's slot, so if this was song 2, I don't think it would make it through because I'm not sure Serbia will go through. I think it's same as this really. It's not that interesting a song, and the running order I think has probably killed it. So I think this benefits largely from being very, very late on. So I think it probably will go through, but I'm not sure it's a contender for last because I think the juries like it a little bit too much for it to come last. But I struggle to see this escaping bottom 5, frankly.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. But that's it from us on this episode. Let us know whether you agree or disagree with us. Well, let us know if you're a Portugal stan for this year. We'd love to know why. But that wasn't actually
Tell
meant
us
as
why.
passive. That wasn't actually as passive aggressive as I meant it. That came across more than I meant it. But anyway, but that's it from this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also you can listen to us in podcast form, so you can hear us on the go as well on your commute. But that's it from this episode. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.